Okay. Welcome everybody to our live stream. I am Tim, or UFO Man, and to my right is Tommy Highway. We have two parts to present tonight. One part is a question I've had for a long time, and that would be, quote unquote, if we were on the moon in 1969, did the astronauts Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong witness massive ships along the Sea of Tranquility crater as the Apollo 11 lunar module landed? We will play some video clips that suggest this event occurred and that these vehicles may have been man-made and operational out in our galaxy before 1969. The second part of our presentation tonight will be hosted by Tommy Highway, and his topic is the occult and Satanism today. So again, I say welcome to our stream and thanks for coming. Okay, Tommy, would you like to say something about yourself?
Well, I'd like to first of all thank you for having me on. I'd certainly like to thank everybody for watching and listening and being with us for the stream this evening. My name is Tommy Highway. I am a network engineer by profession. I was a government employee for a number of years, went into the private sector and became an author. And I've written several books, one of which that we'll be speaking of tonight is called Strange Tales from the Highway. Copy of it right there. And I just want to share a couple of stories with you and then share some things that I've actually read in the news and that sort of thing regarding the occult, Satanism, and Satanism crimes.
Sounds really awesome. Okay, we're going to start out with the moon information first. I have a video clip that I would like to play. It is a summary of events and comments made by astronauts and their families regarding the credibility of their sighting along the crater after landing the lunar module in 1969. And it was presented by the UFO Man channel, or myself. Okay, here, let me get this set up here. I gotta share screen again. All right. Just having a little technical difficulty here. Tommy, did you witness the 1969 lunar landing?
I did not, actually. I was born in December of '70, so missed that one.
Oh, you missed that one. Well, I can actually say I saw it. So I think I was to predate myself, I was in 6th grade. So let's see here. All righty. Come on. Where are you? Oh, here it is. I got it. Okay, here we go. Share screen. Share. Select audio. Okay. Here we go. Here's the video clip.
It wasn't long ago that the Russian government called for an international investigation into the U.S. moon landing regarding missing samples and photos not released to the public. This made something abundantly clear to everyone. Something fishy is happening on our moon, and we're not being told about it. Multiple testimonies by astronauts, professors, high-ranking military whistleblowers, photos taken by NASA, and more unknown footage had never been released. NASA actually erased 40 rolls of film mistaken of the Apollo missions, which is several thousand individual frames that were determined by authorities that you did not have the right to see. According to multiple sources, after landing on the moon, the Apollo astronauts broadcasted that they were being watched by very large ET vehicles. An astronaut who confirmed this statement was Dr. Edgar Mitchell, the sixth man to walk on the lunar surface. Edgar is one of several NASA astronauts who have made some eye-opening comments about the ET presence. Close friends and family members of Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin have separately said that indeed there were numerous massive UFOs around the Sea of Tranquility crater where the lunar module landed, and that both Aldrin and Armstrong witnessed them. The astronauts were told after their encounter that if they revealed what they saw to the public, their entire families would be killed. While Neil and Buzz were on the lunar surface, Neil switched to the medical channel and spoke directly to the chief medical officer saying, "They're here. They're parked on the side of the crater and they're watching us." Ham radio operators intercepted transmissions between Houston and the lunar module, and they were, "Mission Control calling Apollo 11. What's there, Apollo 11? Apollo 11 replied, "Mission Control. These babies are huge, sir. Enormous. Oh God, you wouldn't believe it. I'm telling you, there are other spacecraft out there, lined up on the far side of the crater edge. They're on the moon watching us."
Okay. Let me get out of here real quick. Go back. All right. I want to address the issue of the craft or ships on the crater's edge. What do you think in the chat concerning the moon landing, and what do you think about the ships on the crater's edge? Tommy, what is your opinion?
Well, I've actually heard this story, several times, growing up, and there has always been controversy about, there's some missing audio there, things like that, and the story always went that, they went over to the medical channel to describe what they were seeing, things of that nature. So this is actually a known thing, per se.
Right. Exactly.
Right, and so it's very interesting for sure, and it's one of those things that it passes the smell test for me versus legend.
Right. And the fact that their families were threatened with death if the astronauts were to reveal any information while they were living. According to what I understand, they only revealed that information to their wives. And after Neil and Buzz were gone, passed away, their wives came clean with that information. And that's how we have it today. So in my opinion, the moon landings were real, but there was falsified footage that was created so that NASA could slip it into the public feed. So when we, as the public, viewed any footage, it would appear like they found nothing on the moon, that they didn't see the ships, that they didn't see ruins, that they weren't there. And that's why there's been the discrepancy between people saying, oh, the moon landings were faked and the moon landings were real, because they're seeing the faked footage and going, yeah, see, the flag's moving. That indicates wind. There's no wind in the vacuum, so it must be fake. But it has been proven that the footage was created as a filler to block out actual things that were sighted on the moon's surface. So in regards to the ships along the ship's edge, in my opinion, at UFO Man, I would say it is a real event. Yes, Stanley Kubrick filmed the fake footage. You are correct. In fact, Stanley Kubrick said, quote unquote, he said, "I am the producer and director of the greatest film ever told that no one even knows about." That's what he said. And now we're revealing that information here on UFO Man. So, yes, Tommy Brock is an official author. You need to check out his page. Tommy, can you show your book again, please? You kind of did it kind of quick. I would like to see the cover again. This is a wonderful book. You need to take a look at it. There are some great stories in there, some of which talk about what he's going to talk about tonight. Okay, I have another clip that will justify my comments in regards to the ships along the crater's edge and their origin. So here, let me see if I can bring it up. Gotta find it here. Okay, share screen. I'm working with a new platform, so I'm just learning how to do this. So, okay, here we go. Share screen. This is a Jeff Rense interview of William Tompkins. This is the ET and Nazi secret space program connection. Check this out.
Next 2 hours is going to be just fascinating. We get to spend it with this 2-hour section with William Tompkins. Bill.
Yeah, I'm here.
Let's get started with this. The last time that we had Bill on, we've gotten into some extraordinary areas. And what we're going to do tonight is continue to broaden the horizons. And I mean out into space. We're going to look out there and see what Bill Tompkins knows, what he can share with us. And we've got some photos up too. If you go to the Rense.com homepage, take a look there, and there should be photos under Bill's name. There's some very provocative things there. If you recall, Bill, where were we last time when we let off in the narrative, and where would you like to pick it up?
Well, we sort of left off in the middle, really. And if we could, I'd like to go back to like 1942, if we could start there.
Yeah.
There's a situation which I think is hard for people to realize.
Oh, what happened?
And that is that when the reptilians made their agreement with Hitler and the SS, it was entirely different than anything else on the planet.
When you say who? I'm sorry, Bill. When who made the agreement?
When Hitler made the agreement to accept the assistance of the reptilians. The
off-planet. I just want to make sure everyone is up to speed. We're talking about a visiting race of intelligent, very intelligent life that are commonly referred to as the reptilians. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, now that put Germany into a totally different country. Now, the German people, of course, were never allowed to even know that this extraterrestrial assistance had been given to the SS. Now, when I said given, they were actually given the hardware. They weren't given a book to tell you how to operate a UFO. They were given the UFOs, not just one class, but 7, 8 different classes and types, even large cigar-shaped space vehicles. Now, the point here is that this meant that the Germans were totally more advanced and capable of learning how to operate these vehicles,
Right.
and go out in space with the reptilian naval groups and operate with them in the galaxy, essentially doing what Germany was going to do to this planet, which was essentially to take out the people they didn't want on the planet and make the rest of them their slaves.
Kind of like the Soviet communists were planning on doing.
Exactly. And the big difference is here that when we got involved in it, it's like when I was working for Admiral Ricabana in 1942, and he had these 29 top Navy operatives, spies, in Germany, and they had been in there for at least a year before I got into it. And they came back as quickly as they could as they got new information.
Now, this is an amazing penetration that American intelligence was able to somehow get, obviously, men who were fluent in German and got credentials and papers to get them somehow placed in positions of extreme importance in the Third Reich.
They were naval operatives, naval spies, and these fellows were brilliant. And so they got into all of the most of the areas in Germany and the occupied countries. And they found out there were all of these things that were going to take place where Germany then would have UFOs with speeds capable of close to the speed of light. They had weapons which were so advanced there was nothing that we had here in the United States had any idea of it. And so the Germans quickly got themselves, put these programs of these vehicles in production. And unlike the United States, we had to take the information that the Navy operatives gave us, disseminate it out to all of the top secret organizations in the United States, Navy facilities, universities, Caltech, JPL, all of Lockheed, Douglas, Boeing, everybody got packages, okay? But our position was totally different than the Germans in that several years went by before there was 2 UFOs that even crashed and that we could look at them.
1947, yeah.
That's right. And so it's extremely interesting that we had to try to reverse engineer everything in those UFOs that were crashed. And this took us years.
Yeah, the Germans didn't have that obstacle. But there are obviously people out there right now, Bill, that are saying, what the heck? If they had this technology, how did they lose the war?
Okay, that's an extremely good question. And the easiest way to answer it is that they actually did not lose the war. We didn't win the war. What happened was the Germans were contacted by all of the U.S. Navy and all of the naval or military intelligence groups in the United States. They went in and made arrangements to take a substantial number of German scientists and bring them to the United States.
Yeah,
it's called the paperclip program.
Thousands of them, yeah. There were lots and lots of them.
And it wasn't like there were 6 or 7 of them. Like you said, there were hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. Now, these Germans then actually were assigned into a thing called NASA. And they essentially made up 80 to 90% of NASA, but that wasn't their stop. They continued to distribute out through every top U.S. biomedical and corporations that were in aerospace companies.
Right.
And they then worked in these companies, and they worked to the extent that they took over the finance of these companies. And of course, the Bilderberg and the Trilateral all involved in this.
Mm-hmm.
But the point is that Germany had 4 years before they lost the war, they decided that this tremendous opportunity that was given to them to have all of these advanced space systems, they said, we're going to move it to Antarctica. And at that particular time, the reptilians, extraterrestrials, had 3 large caverns under the ground, under the ice, down in Antarctica. And they had 2 small ones.
Right.
And so they gave the 2 small ones to the SS. And they then made arrangements so that the Germans would design and build massive submarines as transports. And they had no torpedoes on board. They were just large transports. And they started moving the top UFO construction, because Germany went into the construction of these various types of UFOs that were given to them. And they started taking this 4 years before the war ended.
Really?
So they had a massive number of slave labor that they moved down there too. And the families for all of the German SS went down there with them.
Well, these caverns, now I have footage of the original 1938-39 German expedition to Antarctica. Now that trip, as you know, was captured on film and brought back, and certainly a screened version of it was edited and released to German movie houses. It was like a newsreel. It was like a 10, 12-minute piece of film that showed the German exploration research ships going down to Antarctica. Now, my question is, in these films are some snapshots of gigantic underground caverns. I'm going to pull all these out of the films. They're old and grainy, but they're still watchable. They have Wagnerian music and a little bit of a soundtrack from a narrator here and there. But it's a remarkable thing to see, because this is what they admitted finding in Antarctica. And my question is, Bill, how did they go down there to this continent of ice and find these caverns just out of the blue on this trip down there? They had to be shown where they were. Had to be.
Exactly. And they were shown where they were with the reptilian extraterrestrial people.
Right.
And those caverns actually they were like massive countries.
Well, the pictures I have, there may be, I'm going to guess, like a third to a half a mile across, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of feet tall, enormous caverns under the ice, no ice to be seen, running water, perfectly habitable.
Yes, and right next to them are these 3 massive caverns.
Well, I believe it. Yeah.
Really, and so what took place then is that as we were, the 8th Air Force and the British were taking Germany out by the bombings, we were like minutes, not years, from losing that war. But it didn't make any difference to Germany, because not just Hitler and his girlfriend went to South America, and so did many of the Germans. And they found
Bormann, Mengele, there's, lots of them down there. Thousands.
And so this whole thing all took place. They infiltrated our aerospace and our advanced medical systems here in the country. And essentially, they got NASA, which then, of course, they were running, to the Apollo missions, which were German missions before they left Germany and went to Antarctica.
Right.
That's what Germany was doing. So they came over here and they did the same thing here. I don't think we sit down and sort of evaluate the timeline of all of this. I think it's kind of hard to believe you didn't win the war. And it's very hard to realize even today that this is still a major controlling element in the United States, and actually in England too. So it's crazy.
Yeah, extraordinary. Antarctica, advanced technology. NASA, a German operation. The Germans put us in space. The Germans took us to the moon, if we went to the moon, and most people think we did.
We did.
They absolutely were behind the construction, and Bill was a designer of some of these enormous spaceships, there's no other word for them, that were constructed apparently either in pieces down here or built in space. What was the truth of it, Bill?
Are we talking about Solar Warden?
Yes.
Okay. The designs for some of these were at the Douglas Santa Monica engineering facilities in a secret think tank.
What years would that have been, Bill? Excuse me. What years approximately would that have been?
That's 42, 46, that time period.
Okay, so that's during the war, folks. They were designing spacecraft at Douglas Aircraft during the war years. All right.
And of course, we were using the information that in Admiral Riccobono's office. He was the commander of Naval Air Station San Diego, and that was his published mission. Nobody knew what he was actually doing with these operatives coming back from Germany with all this space information.
Right.
So then later on, I went to work for Douglas and in the secret think tank. And one of the interesting things is one of the proposal packages that I flew around the country on for all this information to be disseminated to the aerospace organizations. I found one of my own packages that I had done 10 years, 12 years before that I'd given to Douglas.
I'll be darned.
Crazy.
That is crazy. Wow. Okay. So my question about these enormous craft you heard Bill mention it, and if you didn't understand, it was Solar Warden, like the man who runs a prison, a protector, a guard. Solar Warden is the name of the program. These big craft that were built, how were they constructed and where were they constructed? That's the big deal. Were they constructed down here and flown into space? Must have been.
Okay. No, they were not.
See? There you go.
Okay. One of the facilities that was used is east of the Wasatch Mountains in Utah. And this is a very, very large cavern. Has smaller ones adjacent to it, but it's a massive one. And they were able to put together Lockheed Space Systems, Northrop Grumman facilities, even Boeing were involved in the actual construction of these kilometer-long spacecraft carriers that the Navy now has 8 of these spacecraft carrier battle groups out in the galaxy. And I don't know the actual mission right now, but for most of the period since the first ones were built and went out into the galaxy, because they were built here, they were operating with only one of the 8 who operate around the solar system. The others were out in the galaxy, jointly operating missions against reptilians and other bad people, but jointly working with the Nordic Navy, and who are the people that has been assisting at least us on the Apollo.
Mm-hmm.
And so the actual vehicles are built somewhat like an aircraft type thing, aircraft carrier. And it's interesting that Northrop Grumman put together a program where they went back to Virginia and they bought the largest aircraft carrier construction facility on the planet. And they bought this so that they could have their engineers come in and work with all of the Navy construction and engineering people that build these aircraft.
So this was a huge shipyard construction location. It has to be,
yeah,
because they float the completed vessels into some water somewhere. Okay.
And so this is Newport News shipyard
Okay.
in Virginia. And so they then had their people, the Grumman people, study with the Navy engineers, designers of all the areas of an aircraft carrier. And surprisingly enough, Newport News also builds Navy submarines. And
So,
at Douglas, hold on, at Douglas, in the secret think tank, when we were looking at every type of space vehicle we would need to go out into the galaxy, our U.S. Navy. And so submarines came up, and we discussed this. We said, that's the easiest thing, the quickest way we can get out there. We'll just take a regular Navy submarine, pull out the old nuclear system, put in the anti-gravitational system, and we're going to use these right away.
So this was.
Welcome, Vern and Paranormal Underworld, to our chat this evening. That last video was something I needed to show because I think it showed a little bit of evidence in regards to William Tompkins and his hands-on experience in regards to designing and implementing man-made anti-gravitational vehicles into space and helping initiate the secret space program. I thought we would turn it over to the panel and to the chat and see what people have to say about that. Can you first introduce yourself, Jax?
Hi, my name is Jax. I'm host of Periscope Uncensored and host of Paranormal Underworld here on YouTube.
Thank you, Jax. Vern, can you are you able to show yourself? There we go. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Can you? Where's that coming from? Is that mine? Is that going?
No.
Okay. I'm Vern. I have a channel called Vern Vision, where I pretty much we talk about a lot of different subjects. It was originally that I made the channel to expose some activity that was going on in my area that became off the hook and crazy, and it was a good idea, but the problem is that the subject matter that I was dealing with apparently is not compatible with YouTube's idea of what they want to have on here. So I've been shadow banned, and more so, I've been also I don't know if there's a word or an acronym for it, but I've had trolls that people that see when you have trolling going on, people turn the trolls in. When they turn the trolls in, YouTube is informed by it, and I believe that YouTube sets up a database that they hook up to an algorithm that uses those people or that information to target certain people on here. And I'm one of the people that they target with. I wish I could prove it and everything else, but it's pretty much people who frequent my channel will see this, and it's quite remarkable, actually. And unfortunately, it has placed my channel kind of in a position of where it's jeopardy, and I really don't want to deal with it, too much anymore. I don't know. I'm almost on the verge of it.
We need you around, Vern. You're a wealth of information in regards to the subject and the subject at hand.
I'm on your live or whatever, but I'm getting to the point where it's like a waste of time for me to have mine. You know what I mean? When I don't get notified. See, I'm not even being notified when you go live. They have completely cut me off. And like I said, once again, what did I do to deserve this? You know what I'm saying?
Nothing.
True.
You should have been notified. You set your reminder and everything, and nothing happened.
Oh, absolutely. I'm subscribed to you. I remember I did it
right.
I unsubscribed, I resubscribed, I made sure everything was checked, and it still didn't do it. And this does it on my channel too. I don't even get informed when I go live on my channel.
Jax, did you get a reminder?
I did.
You did. Did you, Tommy? I can't hear you, Tommy.
Sorry. Yeah, I did get a reminder.
Okay.
So,
all right. Just checking.
And this is on both my channels. Okay. I have both my channels, both computers up, both browsers up. Nothing came up.
Okay. I'm sorry to hear that. We have another member, another person that wants to join the chat.
And another thing too that was weird was, remember when we went through our little scuttlebutt or whatever, and you guys got on a list that prevented you from being seen or whatever, and I couldn't even see you. Remember?
Right.
Okay. Well, the same people who are commissioned or sent to troll me, I put on this list, and it's funny how they don't get hidden.
Wow.
Right?
They don't get hidden at all, do they?
No, they don't. Okay, so I want everybody to know that YouTube is doing this to me, okay? YouTube's doing this to me. I have a court system down here that is basically persecuting me for an ex who went in and lied under oath or whatever and never gave me due process. Okay, I'm going through like a whole bunch of crap. I'm being attacked from every direction I can be. Okay. For going out and just being minding. I mean, I was out. I could have been minding my own business out in the desert or whatever. But the fact is, I had to be out there and I witnessed stuff that went on. Okay,
right.
They didn't like that. I guess they didn't like that or whatever. But they're the ones that made the mistake of being irresponsible to letting me see the things that were going on. Okay, and for them to punish me or persecute me, this is why they're evil. Okay. That these things don't operate on the same rules or the same level as us, that they would put me through this when I did nothing wrong. Okay?
Right.
And I know enough now of what they've done, and I think they realize it too, that I could actually probably with the right people duplicate what they've done.
Okay. Thanks for your commentary, Vern. I do appreciate it, and we are standing with you. We are. The people who know what's going on, we are standing with you. I've just received a message that your audio, Vern, is not that great.
I told you, didn't I?
I can hear you just fine, but other people are saying that it's a little sketchy.
It's a little off.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I told you, that this is what happens with these webcams. That's why I can't use webcams. I don't know what it is, but
okay.
Every time that I use this happens. And like, I don't even know. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drop out. I'm gonna restart the machine.
Okay, you go ahead, and we'll wait for you to come back.
If that doesn't do it, then I'm done. So.
Well, no, you can come back. All right. I want to welcome everybody in the chat. I didn't get a chance to speak to you because we were showing the video content. This is a first attempt at a new format. We really want to show more evidence in regards to our subject. But tonight's subject was, were those ships along the crater actually there? To accept that, you would have to accept that the moon landings were real. But there is a lot of questions in regards to the moon landing. What do you have to say about that, Joe?
It's I mean, we've all heard the stories. I've actually, a number of times heard that the real recordings, whatever. And the thing is that I really think that I think they saw something. I think what they saw and described, I believe exactly what it is that they saw. So, I mean, to say that the moon landing, I mean, I don't even know if you guys even saw the episode, but you guys ever watch Mythbusters?
Yes.
Okay, well, Mythbusters, they actually, on a set, recreated the moon landing, and it proved that they did actually land on the moon. So that was a big one for everybody, because considering that a lot of people were starting to think that we never landed on the moon, they were somewhere out in Arizona or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
okay. Well, Tommy, what is your opinion on that?
Well, I'm 99% certain that we landed on the moon at least once. I do have some questions, and this was regarding a special that I saw on, I think it was like Fox or something, and this has probably been 15 years ago. But it was interesting how they showed some of the footage to two completely different landing sites, and they were able to superimpose the background and the rocks and things like that lined up. Now, that's odd to me, okay? It's almost like they were, I don't know, maybe they faked some of the footage for a particular reason. Maybe there's something we weren't supposed to see. Who knows?
Hold on a second here. Yeah, I think that's what it was doing. I'm experiencing some echo. Do you hear that?
Yeah, I do.
I don't know where it's coming from. Do you?
it. May be me. Hold on.
Okay. Yes, Inger, some is real, some footage is fake. I don't hear an echo now. Yeah, it's gone. But wait. I don't hear an echo now. Yeah, it's gone.
Okay.
Wait. There's a lag, but there's coming over your side.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay, well, it's better than it was. Kind of. Okay. Yeah. We're going to play one more clip, and then we're going to talk a little bit about it, and then we're going to segue into our second part of the stream this evening in regards to Satanism and the occult. So let me get this set here. I gotta find it. Okay. Okay, here it is. I gotta find it. Okay, share screen. Come on. Okay, I want this one. Yeah, okay. This is an interview between Kerry Cassidy from Camelot and William Tompkins.
Does anyone have any video with this? I mean, audio?
Oh, sorry. Made a mistake. Hold on. I'll start it over. My fault. Let's see here. I'm gonna do it over. Is that better? Okay.
The point I'm trying to get to is here that Northrop borrowed a bunch of money and bought TRW Space Systems, the number one think tank on your planet.
Who gave you the green light?
I can't answer that. All I can say is that the easiest way for me to say what I'm saying is my association with 3 Nordic people in Douglas on the Apollo program. During World War II, Germany was taking extraterrestrial information and putting in production 12, 14 different extraterrestrial type vehicles. They're manufacturing it using slave labor. Almost 90% of that was taken out of Germany before the war even stopped. It was taken to Antarctica and is still operating there today.
That there are some positive artificial intelligence out there, but that we do have incoming races of beings that are actually artificially intelligent, you know.
Yeah, you can't even see them. Then they put the American flag up, okay? And then they start walking around taking their pictures. And all around the edge of the crater are all these great big things. His statement, Armstrong, sir, you've got to see these. They're massive. They're threatening. They're threatening us.
So what I want to say again is saying everything was planned in 1999, and basically we were stopped at a certain point, and that's a very, crisis point in your book, which is very exciting, but at the same time very disappointing to hear. So it's not surprising because in a sense the general public certainly thinks we never went back to the moon. That's what they had in their mind. Now I don't believe that. So it went black in essence. And this gets into a whole other area, but I'm going to ask you my question in a minute. So Michael, we're just about to tell him in answer to his question, right?
We were talking about that. I also wanted to discuss, Bill, have you ever got a chance to meet Ben Rich?
No.
You didn't?
No,
Okay.
I didn't. I wish I had.
Okay.
Because these beautiful people.
Do you think that Donald Douglas Sr. consulted with Kelly Johnson and secrets were traded? Do you think that's something that...
No question.
No question.
No question.
Can you drill down on that a little bit?
Donald Douglas was far more important in this whole thing than people realize. I'm not trying to give him a big deal, but he certainly was. And so he, for instance, knew Northrop. And I want to sort of level out on Northrop, because remember, TRW systems that came on after all of this early program things, TRW came out of the Douglas think tank. That's where it came from. And so TRW then had what constituted, I worked there for a number of years, they had unlimited funds to literally study anything, okay, any subject you want. So the TRW staff, the president, and many of the top engineers were in the Douglas secret think tank before. And so not only did Douglas talk to TRW, but Douglas talked to Northrop. Douglas talked to Lockheed. These fellows were not exchanging information because they were competition with each other. But at a technical level, they talked together. And they then, like the first package that I flew to Lockheed in the valley there, was the first paper that Lockheed had, which formed the think tank. And so collectively, the information was individual for each of the companies that we flew packages to, but there was also coordination between, like Douglas Sr. and the top people at Lockheed. And it's not that they were trading information, but they were at the same level diplomatically, and they communicated. And so Ben Rich, what he said before he passed away, I think is extremely important, because he, in one statement, he came up with what the real situation was. And he's leaving that with, okay, it's you guys' next move. It's your next move. This is what he's telling you. It's there. You can leave it, you can back off, or you can participate. I think those words were unreal, truthfully. That's sort of a box of the whole situation. And those guys in the skunk works at Lockheed were right on, okay? Now, I did work for Lockheed 3 different times. One, I worked for Nav Space. I was working for Nav Space in a facility inside of Lockheed. I delivered documents to Lockheed, actually 4 times, and I worked for Lockheed 2 other times. I actually worked as a research wind tunnel model expert. Okay, so and that was the first time I actually worked for Lockheed, but I had delivered packages to Lockheed 10 years earlier, and so my participation with them was then different than my participation with Northrop, because I actually worked for Northrop for 2.5 years. And the point I'm trying to get to is here that Northrop borrowed a bunch of money and bought TRW Space Systems, the #1 think tank on your planet. Holy cats. I mean, this is wild. Northrop borrowed some money. They went to Virginia. They bought the U.S. Navy's shipbuilding company that builds aircraft carriers. The massive #1 facility on the planet that builds aircraft carriers. Now listen to this. What did they do that for? So they could take their engineers, crawl all over aircraft carriers, look at it, and figure out how to make a 790-foot aircraft carrier into a kilometer-long spacecraft carrier. What better tool could you buy?
Okay. Getting back to our chat. I gotta unmute. Tommy, you need to unmute yourself. And Jax, you need to unmute yourself. That was the only way I could get rid of the echo and clean up the audio, was to mute people. Anyways, that video clip showed that William Tompkins was aware of where these large secret space program ships were being built, that they were being built in the largest aircraft carrier building site in the United States, and that it was taken over by the U.S. Navy, and he was the main person who did the designs for the battle carrier group that was initially installed in space in around 1955. I'm not sure right now as of how many we have in space at this time, but the information in regards to this clip justifies the fact that the ships along the moon's crater in 1969 could very well have been man-made and part of the secret space program. What does anybody think in the chat or on the panel? Please let me know. So what do you think, Tommy?
Well, I think it's interesting. I think that the gentleman he seems to have some credibility. It's just such an awesome thing to try to wrap your mind around, I think. You hear about these wonderful advanced technologies and everything that we have, but yet, I don't know. It's like, our government has a real hard time keeping a lid on just about anything. And you'd think that something like that would be, more of a more readily known or spoken of, I guess you could say. I mean, I understand if you have, let's say if a UFO crashes into the White House lawn, why do we keep that secret? Well, we keep that secret because if we have that technology and other superpowers like Russia, China, whomever, even India, whatever, if they discover that we actually have that advanced technology, that raises tensions big time. I mean, that's the kind of thing that could actually start a real shooting war, over advanced technology. And I think that's probably why we tend to keep a lid on that more than other things, per se.
Right. Jax, you need to unmute yourself. Okay, I was getting a little bit of an echo from your end.
I don't know
Vern,
where it's
are you
coming
here?
on.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't see you because your circular avatar's up.
I can see him.
Yeah, because I'm on another computer.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, welcome back, Vern. What is your opinion concerning William Tompkins and his designs for the battle carrier group for solar war?
Huh?
What is your opinion concerning William Tompkins?
I have no idea who it is.
You don't know who William Tompkins is?
Nope.
Okay, he's United States Navy retired, researcher, engineer, worked for Northrop Grumman, worked for Lockheed Martin Skunk Works, developed designs in 1955 under commission from the United States Navy to develop designs for converting submarines of the day into anti-gravitational craft, and old aircraft carriers into anti-gravitational craft as well. Mainly, they used submarines, like the smaller attack submarines. They took out the nuclear propulsion systems and installed anti-gravitational propulsion. Jax, you're muted. You're still muted. Oh, there you go. Now,
Okay,
now
I was-
you're.
Is Tim cutting out at all? That he's cutting out.
Am I cutting out?
Seems fine for me.
I've been told there's been some buffering.
It's my side then. It's really bad on my side. I hear every other word you're saying.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. Okay, in the chat, Inger Castleman said, now we can send ET home. Yes, that's what Ben Rich said in one of his most famous statements, is we have the technology to send ET home. But according to Bill William Tompkins, we've had the technology to send ET home since about 1943, the year after World War II ended. Okay, since we have discussed the subject for a little while, we're going to segue over to Tommy Highway. He is going to discuss Satanism and the occult. Take the floor, Tommy.
Thank you very much. I'm about to share a story with you that I didn't share for a better part of 30 years. It's something that happened to me when I was 14. A friend of mine and myself, when I was 14, my friend was 16. And we lived in central Ohio. The year was, 1994. And they had just built, and I go in the story in the book. It's called Satan's Car Wash, but I don't really get specific about a lot of things. But in this case, they had just built a new Burger King, of all things, in the middle of this parking lot. And it became like a big thing for the kids, like a big attraction for the teenagers, right? Everybody went there. So one evening, it was in the late summer. School was just about a week or so away. A friend of mine who, let's just call him Bob, he was an animal. I mean, the guy was an animal. I'm talking about, I've seen the guy eat roadkill. He's just a nice guy, but there was just something wrong with him. Probably, he's deceased now. So that's actually why I'm actually sharing this story. But anyway, he and I go over to this Burger King one evening, and there's just wall-to-wall teenagers everywhere. So we orbit the parking lot a couple of times, and we finally park. And, we're standing outside of his white Yugo, trying to look cool, which, standing in front of a white Yugo, not easy. All of a sudden, a couple of these older girls walked over to us, and they were dressed in like workout clothes. We're talking about, like, remember the leg warmers back in the 80s? They had like those kinds of things on. And they looked to be, I'd say they were 20 or so. These were like full-blown women. To me, I was just a kid. We got to talking to them or whatever, and they invited us to a party, which I was not comfortable going to. We didn't know these people. But my buddy, he was, let's just say he's a bit of a dog. And he's like, oh, yeah, let's go. And he's driving, so I didn't have much of a choice. So we follow these girls out of town, out into the country, and we came upon this, what I can only describe as a giant farmhouse. A real big place. This place probably it was white in color. It was really well kept. It probably had 8 bedrooms. Big place. And it had like a big fence around it. It had like a metal gate in the front, like a big metal gate for the cars to go in. So we pull off the road down into the driveway of this place to follow these girls. And the girl that was driving, the blonde, she leans out the window and talking to somebody in one of those like little boxes, and the gates open up and we go in. Well, as soon as we park our cars and we get out, the blonde girl, there was a blonde and a brunette. The blonde girl runs over and just jumps on top of my buddy and starts making out with him, you know, just like that. And I'm looking over at the brunette because, again, I mean, this is a little out of my league at 14. You know, she didn't really say anything. She just looked at me and looked at the ground, looked at me, looked at the ground. Okay, whatever. So they lead us up this cobblestone like walkway up into the front door of this place, which is like a double door, you know, like two doors instead of one. She opens up the door. We walk inside. She leads us down this hallway. And this is like a real nice place. I mean, there was some serious art on the wall. I mean, whoever owned this place was very wealthy. Anyway, so we finally go into this ballroom. So all I can describe it as a ballroom. And there's maybe 20 people there, something like that, 15 to 20 people there. But the way they were dressed was very unusual. It was almost like, you know, I felt like I was looking at something like an Andy Warhol party or something like that. I mean, like they were dressed in like the 60s. At first I thought, is this like a costume party or something? And in the middle of this room, there was this big long table. It was like a bar table, and it had all kinds of liquor and stuff all over it. And we walk in, and, you know, I'm very intimidated because these people that are there, they're probably, I say the average age is probably 35 or whatever. They're like my parents' age at this point. So we walk in, and this short little, stocky little lady walks up, real friendly. She's like, "Oh, hey, we got new guests, everybody." And then she gets our names and introduces us, and everybody's like, hi, blah, blah, blah. "What are you guys drinking?" You know, and she starts, "You ever had this drink? Have you ever had that drink?" You know, and I'm like, no. So finally she's pouring me all these drinks, and we start drinking. So this goes on for maybe an hour or so. And, you know, my buddy's mingling with people, and I'm talking to this bartender lady, and I'm telling you, I didn't get 2 drinks down before she's making me something else. And again, you know, 14 years old, I mean, it's not exactly like my constitution isn't quite as tough as it is now. How about that? But anyway, all of a sudden we heard the front door open and close. And then everybody's talking and all that, and all of a sudden everybody gets real quiet. And I remember turning to look down the hall, and I see there's this old guy standing there. He's real tall. He's probably about 6'5" or so. Guy looked like he was in his 80s, and he just had like blue jeans on and one of those tablecloth type of button-up shirts. You know, the white and the red kind of thing going on. But the reaction to these people when they saw this guy, I mean, they all stopped immediately what they were doing at that point. Sorry, guys, I've got something going on here. Some kind of animal outside. Anyway, these people, as soon as they saw this guy, they stopped whatever they were doing, turned and looked at this guy just like this. The woman that I was talking to, she immediately stopped, the whole 9 yards. So the guy came in, and he made eye contact with every person in that room except myself and my buddy. I mean, it was something odd about it. It's freaking me out. It's one of those kinds of things that the hair on the back of my neck was standing up. Okay. So then he just all of a sudden turns and goes back down the hall that he came from and disappears. As soon as he left, everybody went right back to normal, you know, just talking and whatever. So another period of time rolls by, and, you know, again, this woman's real chatting me up, trying to make me a Long Island iced tea and all this other stuff. You know, I'm getting kind of woozy here at this point. And then there was this big grandfather clock in the room, kind of in the corner, and it started chiming because it was midnight, you know, 12 chimes. And about that time, the women, the bartender and another girl, they walked into the kitchen, and they came out, and they were holding these big, like, containers of something, and they were wrapped in a white, like a white satin or silky cloth, I guess. They were the size of, you know, those giant pickle jars like at Sam's Club or whatever, 1 gallon or whatever, about that size. Anyway, they bring them in and they set them on this bar table, and they walk away. Then we start hearing this voice. This old guy walks into the room, the same old guy from before, only this time he's wearing this really long robe, and he's got this weird head thing on. I don't know what the hell that was. And he's like speaking in tongues, blah, 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 you know, like Latin or something. And I'm looking at this going, what the hell's going on here? And that's about the same time I realized that all the people that were in the room had basically surrounded us, okay, myself and my buddy. And in fact, they joined hands. And so this guy, he still keep talking in tongues. And then the women started doing this weirdest thing. It was like, I can't do it justice, but it was like, and chattered their teeth like that, like hiss and then chattered their teeth. And they start doing this while this guy's talking. So he literally comes into the room. He enters the circle of these people. They unclamp their hands for a moment while he enters the circle. And he's reading from this book. And it's just like, I guess, Latin or something. And finally, then he starts talking in English, and he's talking about, you've given us the young blood of a sacrifice, and like we were going to be sacrificed, okay? And I mean, I'm scared to death. I mean, I'm scared to death. I don't know what to do. I'm drunk, and you know, place we don't know, just the two of us. Well, this guy, as he's doing this, as he's I guess reading out of this book, he walks past my buddy Luke, or I'm sorry, Bob. He walks past my buddy, and I told you he was crazy. Bob grabbed a whiskey bottle or some kind of liquor bottle off the table, and in one motion slammed it into the table, and then slashed this guy right across the face. And I'm telling you, it's like his face opened up, like from here to here, just completely, and he started just pumping blood. And he falls to the ground. He hits the ground. He's done. And at that point, I'm like, what are we doing? What are we doing? And he's like, we're going to have to fight our way out of here. So we start fighting these people. And I mean, it was just all of those people against the two of us. And I'm telling you, there was 15 adults there. And I mean, I was hitting people with bottles. I picked up this big brass lamp and I hit a guy with it and messed him up real bad. The bartender lady that was talking to me, and she's doing that hissing thing, she comes up to my buddy Bob, and he grabbed her, picked her up, because he's kind of a big guy, picked her up, and he threw her at the bar table. And she went right across those two containers. She just went right through them. And it turned out, and they were full of blood, okay? These two containers were full of blood. And I'm telling you, it was like a blood bomb went off in the room. That shit was like everywhere. We were all instantly, anybody in that room was instantly covered in blood. Not only that, but the old guy bleeding all over the floor made the floor like real slick with blood, okay? And so we're trying to fight our way out. And I finally get to where I can get through people. And the rest of them that were still standing, and there's probably still 5 or 6 people still standing here, they kind of went into a corner like they were regrouping. And that was our chance to get out of there. So I took off down the hall. I get to the front door, and the door's got a bunch of weird locks on it. Each lock is different. So I'm fiddling around with these. Well, right next to the door, there's like a coat rack, a bunch of coats on it. And some young girl comes out of there screaming, doing that hissing thing with a kitchen knife. And she's coming at me like this, trying to slash me, and I'm ducking and dodging and all that. And I shoved her back into the coats, and she came forward, and I grabbed the knife and threw it behind me, and I hit her and knocked her down. Well, as she was going down, she caught my arm, bit my arm real badly. And I finally got her, and I just flipped out. I mean, I just flipped out. I was wearing cowboy boots. I just started stomping this woman's head. I mean, I lost it. You know, I'm just a kid. Well, about the time I'm doing that, and I don't really want to go any further with that one, but my buddy Bob comes up from behind me and finishes opening up the door, and we take off. We go out to his car and jump in it. And it was obvious that Yugo wasn't going to be able to get through that gate, but on the sides of the gate, there were like wood plank fences. So he goes to the right of one of those, and we jumped up and right up onto the road. I mean, it looked like the Dukes of Yugoslavia, okay? So we take off, and we're headed back toward town, and my buddy's just up on the steering wheel like this, you know? And I keep saying, we got to call the cops, man. We got to go to the cops. We got to go to the cops. So we finally get right back. We passed that Burger King where this all started. And finally, he just grabbed the steering wheel and just pulled it to the right, and we whip into this fried chicken place that was closed. And he hit the brakes. We come to a stop. And again, the guy wasn't real smart, but this is the smartest thing he ever said to me. I remember he grabbed me by the shirt and pulled me close to him, and he said, "Now listen, He said, if we go to the cops, all those adults are going to say that we came in there and tried to kill him, and it's their word against ours, and they're going to believe them. So we can't go to the cops. And, he was right about that. I thought he was right about that. About that time, I looked down and I realized that I look like I just came out of a bloodbath. We both do. The car is white. And I look in the mirror, and you could see anywhere I touched, there was just a red, just blood everywhere. So right next to the chicken place was a car wash, one of those manual car washes. And this is like, 1 o'clock in the morning or something at this point. And we pulled in there, and there was a street light like on the outlet, like the other end of the car wash, so you could see everything. And he got out and he put some money into my buddy got out. We both got out. He put some money into the car wash and sprayed us off. And then I can't believe the car started after this, but he literally sprayed the inside of the interior of this car out. And I remember standing behind it, looking at that light and looking at the water come out of the passenger door, and it was pink, like a pink mist. You know what I mean? Now, I grew up in a house with, how can I put this? Let's say very strong male figures, a lot of guns, things like that. My grandfather was a war hero, for God's sake. And I knew I couldn't go home and tell them this, because if I did that, they would have loaded up, went back there and killed anybody left. And I knew that. I didn't want to get my people in trouble. So I never said a word about it. And he made my buddy Bob, he swore me to silence on this. He absolutely swore me to silence on it. Promised I'd never tell. Well, school started about a week later, and it was going to be my freshman year. I got called to the principal's office one day, and he sat me down and he started talking about how telling stories can end up badly for people. Things like this guy knew what we'd been through, and he's like warning me to keep my mouth shut about it, because I think he might have been involved. I mean, I don't know if he was involved in that particular group, but I mean, it was just a real weird conversation. So I went for years before I told this story to anybody, because, well, I had my reasons. But yeah, I mean, these people exist, and this is real. It's like a nightmare that comes true. So I kind of wanted to discuss that tonight, and I also wanted to go over just some of the strange crimes that Satanists have committed here. And this is in the modern era. We're talking about 2014. September 2014, while awaiting trial for murder of a 40-year-old in Pennsylvania, 19-year-old Miranda Barbour, I guess, confessed to the murder of more than 22 people from across the United States. She said, after 22, I just stopped counting. She explained that she started killing at the age of 13. At the time, she was dating a member of an Alaskan Satanist sect. After being arrested for the murder that took her to court, her car was searched, and a satanic Bible and medieval dagger, which was presumed to have been used to kill a victim, were found. The police are still investigating other murders. So, I mean, these people are real. It can be your neighbor, it can be your friend, it can be anybody, but it's that cult mentality. It's that, you can tell certain people, a certain part of the population, whatever you want to tell them and make them believe it. They're easy to manipulate. And I think we're seeing a lot of that. Does anybody have any questions?
I'm bringing everybody back up on the channel here. Anybody in the panel or anybody in the chat have any questions for Tommy?
I just want to say 1,000% I believe him, because I investigate the paranormal, and quite often you hear people talking about the occult and whatnot. So, I mean, there's things that we'll investigate, and there's things that we won't investigate. If someone's dabbling in the occult and dabbling with a Ouija board, we won't even bother investigating, because God knows what they released in their house or business or whatever.
Yeah, I would think, from what you've said in the past, Jax, you have said that in some cases, people that are investigating demonic possession, that possession or spirit may even cross through the computer to people that are watching?
Yes, it could. Absolutely. I mean, you got to look at it this way. I was like, what's what's our essence? What is our spirit made of? It's basically energy, correct? So if you
Right.
take that energy, it can travel through electrical lines. I mean, this isn't far-fetched. You know, it can come out on if someone has something and decides it wants to go, say something's here and something wants to go to Tommy, it's not going to hesitate to go right through the line.
Right. So has that occurred to anyone that you've known?
It has not, but even to this day, I still hearing stories on it.
Are there protection prayers or rituals that are done to prevent this?
Oh, there's plenty of stuff you can do. You can burn sage. You can get protection crystals, that sort of thing. And
Okay.
yes, there are prayers, protection prayers that you can say.
So for
Or just say a regular prayer.
So for instance, if somebody's doing a ghost box, for instance, trying to capture voices and EVPs, they should protect their viewers and themselves with some type of protection, prayer, or ritual, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Anything else, Tommy?
It just really strikes me as, and I'm going through a link here, and it's one crime after another that have been committed by Satanists. You know, it's usually they hear voices like this when a raven asks a 17-year-old to kill someone. Okay, maybe he's just crazy. I mean, obviously he is, but there's just so much of it. And the thing about it is these people are so well connected, because I'm telling you, that place that I went in, I mean, there was probably art hanging on the wall that was worth hundreds of thousands of dollars back then. So, I mean, there's a lot of money. This place was super rich. These people are very well connected. And again, you know, it's almost like, in a way, they're not even trying to hide anymore. You know, I'm not saying that all Satanists are, you know, out there to try to make some kind of pate out of your liver or anything like that. I'm not saying that. But imagine what the extremists of Satanists must be like, because I can tell you firsthand, it's just unbelievable. You know, if it's the kind of thing that it defined, that my experience with these people defined very much who I've become today. The fact that I'm so cautious, you know, things like that. I mean, I wouldn't say paranoid, but I mean, I'm always looking over my shoulder now. And I think it really started right about then. I really do.
I have to say that Satanism has really pervaded our society as of late, I would say. In fact, there are a couple of TV programs I have seen recently, one which is very popular in prime time, which is called Evil. They're trying to make evil look attractive. And another program is on Netflix, and it's called Lucifer. They're trying to make the devil look like he was wronged by his father and is a good person, so that people will like him. So I do believe that evil is being manifested more and more, that we're seeing it more and more. I think it's because of a lot of things: the economy, the state of affairs in our country, the fact that there's a lot of religious ideology, confrontations that are happening that are causing a lot of evil to occur, or allowing evil to occur. I think recently we had those 2 attacks recently. I think was that yesterday or was that today? The one in overseas in Europe, and then there was another one.
Tim, Donnie Brooke is in the chat, by the way.
Oh, okay. Hey, Donnie. should bring Donnie Brook up on the panel if he likes. I'll put the link in there. Here's the link, Donnie, if you want to come on our panel. Donnie's been seeing a lot of and filming a lot of UFO activity in and around where he lives. He is also a retired professional wrestler and a very interesting personality. So if he comes up on the screen, we'd be more than willing to give a listen. Looks like Vern is a Cyclops. Well, anyways, in regards to our topics, I think we've covered them. Vern, do you have anything to say about either topic?
Oh, but I'm cool. I was just trying to get my stuff to work right here.
Right, I understand.
I'm trying to get that updated so I can come back on because I don't have a web camera that works very well on this one.
Okay, well, this was an experiment this evening. We are trying out a new platform, at least for me, in the sense of the paid version of StreamYard. I made the leap and wanted to try out some of the bells and whistles and see if it worked. And it seems like it has. I just need to practice a little bit and get better.
I have a question. Did you multi-stream this?
Yes, I did. We are multi-streaming to Facebook. And I want to thank everybody on Facebook for watching. And we are multi-streaming to YouTube. So we are doing both.
What about Twitch?
Okay, you're going to switch to Facebook?
No, I said, what about Twitch?
I can only do 2 at a time with the plan that I have at this point.
Okay.
So if I were to choose Twitch next time, I could. Yes.
For the overpriced. Was it $40 a month?
It's $40 a month if you want the 5 platforms. Yes, then you can multi-stream to 5 different platforms.
Maybe we could reach out to our listeners here, and if people would like to donate, like $1 or $5, it takes 40 people at $1. It's 20 people at $2. So we're not, you don't need to donate a lot. A couple dollars goes a long way if enough people do it,
Right. So. And if anybody wants to donate to my PayPal or anyone else on the stream, all you need to do is get our email, and you can do that. And
what happened to you?
The best thing I can.
Excuse me.
What happened to you? You said his darn phone check, or the phone died on you, or what?
Oh, that was half an hour ago, Vern.
Oh, well, it's just coming up for me. So.
Yeah, Tommy, I want to thank you. Yes, your story was kind of freaky, but I have to say that people need to check out Tommy's book because it goes into much more detail in regards to his Satanist storyline. There's also stories in there about UFOs, encounters that he's had, and encounters with some blue people and some other things, haunted relics from the Nazi regime. You need to check out.
Accidentally dating a mental patient. That's a good story in there.
Say that. What, Vern?
I got a question. On the counter, does it show all the people that are on here, or is it only showing like because I only see YouTube?
I see Facebook, there's 23, and on YouTube, there's 25.
So yeah, if people could just donate a couple bucks, a couple dollars, $2.
Yeah, you could.
Right now, we could bring this up to the next level.
There are super chats available if you want to donate. That'd be great. If you can't, that's understandable. There's also something called super stickers. Those are interesting. If you do a super chat, your name will be highlighted and we'll give you a shout out and give you a whole bunch of emojis. So it would be greatly appreciated.
So we're streaming on
Anyway.
Facebook too?
We are streaming on Facebook. We are streaming on YouTube. Yes.
Where are we streaming on Facebook?
We are streaming on UFO Man on Facebook.
Okay.
Why don't you put your PayPal, like a PayPal link or an email address that they could donate to you with?
I can put the email address in the chat. Yes, I can. Hold on.
Because you have your business, your business email. So.
Let's see here.
And what's the name of the book, the occult book?
You mean the book that Tommy has?
Yeah, what's the name of it?
It's called Strange Tales from the Highway, Volume 1.
Okay.
You can find that out at TommyHighway.com.
Okay, thank you.
I have put my email in the chat for anyone who's interested in donating to PayPal. You just go to PayPal and enter my email address and you can donate.
And Alex, $2 doesn't mean $2 in zeros, okay?
The book is on Amazon, yes.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to www.tommyhighway.com, all lowercase, you will go to his Amazon book page. He actually has 3 books that are available. This one is specifically about our subject matter, Strange Tales from the Highway. He has another one called Get Trump, which is a politically inspired book. And then I think you have another one, don't you?
My first book was called She Time. And while I was working for the government, government money is, nobody's getting rich working for the government. So I took a second job for a number of years as a ladies fitness instructor. And so I wrote a book based on, my experience with that. I also have Strange Tales from the Highway Volume 2 in the bank, so to speak. It'll be released sometime early next year. And I'm actually working on something else, which is more of a murder kind of thriller. And that should hopefully be ready by summer.
That's very awesome.
Tommy,
I have personally read your book, and it's awesome. Go ahead, Vern.
Do you have a relative that was like a colonel or higher rank?
No, nobody like that. Not that I know of.
Yeah, I just wonder if you, because there's a highway that is a Medal of Honor winner, I think. I remember
Highway is just the name that I write under. My actual last name is Brock.
Oh, okay, Brock. Yeah, I was just thinking there's it wasn't from the Clint Eastwood movie. It was actually another guy that I remember. I was looking over like Medal of Honor winners, and I thought maybe it wasn't Highway. It was like that. It was like that name. But, yeah.
I got the name Highway because my parents were street racers back in the day, which is a big thing in Ohio. They got together, they hooked up. I came along, and my parents call me Highway.
You mean like underground racing, like not right?
Yeah,
street,
right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Indiana, Ohio.
Yeah.
Tommy, you do have signed copies, correct?
Yeah, I can certainly do that. We'd have to work something out. You'd have to contact me directly on the website on the contact link, and we could work that out for you. Absolutely. Okay,
because Mike Johnson in the chat says he wants a signed copy of your book.
Yeah, just go ahead and hit me up just give me your information on my contact link on my website, and I'll get back to you on that. And yeah, we can work that out.
Okay, that sounds great. All right, let's go back to the panel. I think if I'm going to ask everybody on the panel if they have anything else they want to add to the stream. Jax?
No, that's basically it.
Hey, Jax, when you talk about our little paranormal excursion and maybe what we're going to do in a couple weeks or whatever.
Oh yeah, do
Well,
that.
I'm on doing a stream or something.
okay. Well, this past weekend we ended up going to Virginia City, Nevada, from California, and we went to the old Washoe Club. We had a tour. I will put those videos out on the Facebook groups so everyone will be able to see them. Or you can just go to my YouTube channel, Paranormal Underworld. We had a tour. It was about a 45-minute tour. Our tour guide was Richard, who has his own team, Empath Paranormal. Guy was very knowledgeable. He did tend to not answer questions when we had them at the time. He would tell us to wait because everything would be answered during the tour. We must have asked maybe 6 times, 5 times about what different things about the Washoe Club, and he just like, I'll answer all your questions at some point during the tour. Okay. That was the only withdrawal. But in a couple of weeks, we're going back. It's going to spend the night at the old Washoe Club. It has been famous by, I use that term loosely because I don't particularly like them, ghost adventures. Were there up as early as 2 weeks ago doing another investigation. It's okay that other people don't like ghost adventures, like ghost adventures, but me personally, I don't care for them. I don't like the way they go about things. I just don't like them. But that's me though. Yeah, so we're gonna end up going back. So if anyone is interested in joining or meeting us up there, on UFO Man, I think I'm there as what? Am I on there? I'm somewhere in there under Jill White. So just hit me up and let me know if you want to meet us up there or whatever.
You're also you're also on the comments under UFO Man on YouTube.
And make sure you tell them that it's going to be $50 a head if you want to go, because we have to.
Yeah,
no, seriously, it's $400. It's $400 for 8 people.
Well, not if you remember correctly. He said
Alex doesn't need to pay for everything. Okay, Alex doesn't need to pay for everything. So.
Okay, but let me finish, please. And if you remember during the tour, he said December, January, and February it drops down to $200.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, so depending
By
on
the
how
time
many
we get
people.
back,
Does that mean it's less haunted that time of year? Is that why it's cheaper?
No,
because it's dead.
It's cold.
Oh,
No pun intended.
Cold.
Okay. Cold. Gotcha.
Yeah, that it goes there. It's colder than a well digger's ass in February.
Gotcha. So 200 then. So if you go, then it would be what, $25 a head?
Well, it depends on if we got 8 people.
Can you only get 8 people, or can you have more than that?
Well, maybe you could grace their pocket for another person, but I don't think you're going to go above 8 or 10. I think they have a code that they can only have so many people. It's like my code.
Oh, it's according to code. Okay, I understand.
Yes,
I mean, he didn't specify. He said up to 8 people for $400. So, it's we can work something out, I'm sure.
Okay, and where is it that they can meet you again? Where should they meet you for information? Do you have a YouTube channel?
Either one of us, they can get a hold of us.
Jax, can you tell us your YouTube channel?
Yeah, you can reach me at Periscope. I'm sorry, Paranormal Underworld. That's the name of my YouTube channel. But if you're on Facebook, I'm in the group. So I'm also on the Dark Portal. I'm under Joe White. I'm an admin on the page.
He's also an admin on UFO Man Nation. So that's a group. You can reach him there as well, along with Vern from Vern Vision. And you can also reach Tommy there. Okay.
Lost you there.
Jack and I are in contact. So either one of us will work in. It's a first come first served basis. You're going to have to bring a few things, and we're going to go over that if you're interested. It's just some because we're going to be camping there, so they kind of recommend that you bring a sleeping bag and you make sure you wear really warm clothing, gloves, and things like that. But we'll have a list and all that. We'll have. I have a lot of camping stuff too, so I mean, I'll provide most of the stuff that we'll probably need.
Good, and maybe if you get some footage, you can share it on here as well as on Paranormal Underworld.
Yes.
That'd be really cool. Okay, everyone, I want to thank everybody on the panel. I want to thank everyone for being patient with us. Like I said, am learning the ropes. Vern is very skilled at it. Jax is very skilled at streaming, and they are helping me out. So please thank them. And like we said before, if you can donate, that would be great. If you can't, that's fine as well.
And after show, we'll have an after show on my stream.
Okay, we will have an after show at Vern. Are you still under Vern Vision Truth Network at Vern?
Yep. Yes. I will put a link in the if you want, we'll put a link.
Okay. Can you put a link in the chat, Vern?
Yep.
Okay, put a link in the chat, and then we were going to have a UFO Man after show at Vern Vision Truth Network. You're all more than welcome to attend. We just sit back and chit chat and relax and unwind and talk about a whole bunch of stuff and just laugh. So come on over and enjoy the after show. And again, thank you for coming, all of you, including everyone on the panel.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tommy. Thanks, Jack. We'll talk to you at the after party. Take care. Hold on.